Meow, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I want to show you the technical analysis for one of the more popular funds back a few years ago called the ARK funds, which has been absolutely demolished. This is the flagship fund for our good friend Kathy Woods. And as you can see, most recently, actually, the price action has been quite constructive. It's been forming a little bit of a higher high, and right now it's forming a little bit of a bull flag right here. So let's put up some of the indicators and take a closer look at what's going on here after this big, giant, brutal drop in 2022. Eventually, it started forming a base over here. Let's see what it looks like based on some of the indicators that I usually look at. For example, the Isimu Cloud. If you look at the cloud, you can clearly see that price in 2021 has been showing a lot of weakness. It fell underneath the Tenkan line here on the monthly chart. It fell underneath and it tried to back test it, failed to really hold, and they tried to back test it a few times, but right here the Tenkan starts to fall over, and it back tested, it failed, and it just dropped like a rock all the way down. Eventually, it was starting to find a little bit of bottom right here. The momentum kind of slowed down as it kind of trying to slide through the cloud. And it started to form a little bit of a base right over here. Tenkan eventually catch up. But as Tenkan caught up, it started to serve as resistance for about a couple months. Eventually, price broke above Tenkan, back tested it, failed to hold, and then tried to pass through it again. This time, you're able to have a breakthrough. And then back tested over the last couple of months. It looks like it's holding the Tenkan just fine. Throughout the entire process, Kijun has been trying to catch up and trying to, basically trying to touch and cross over Tenkan. Now, once you're able to have Tenkan and Kijun line here crossing, usually that signifies that a long-term bull trend is happening. Sometimes Kijun line, the blue line right here, sometimes this can also serve as a little bit of a resistance and a support. It doesn't have to. Usually Tenkan tends to be a little bit more stronger as a support or resistance. And the fact that it's kind of gotten broken back above the Tenkan is a very positive sign for ARK Fund. Kijun's about to cross down over. If it serves as a resistance, it can delay the breakout for another couple of months. But if it doesn't serve as resistance, it could end up having a bullish Tenkan Kijun cross, which would be very, very bullish for a longer term time frame. If price is able to stay above both the Tenkan and Kijun, and over the next couple of months, if we are able to establish that, I think there's a strong possibility maybe towards the end of 2024 or even around 2025, it can hit the bottom of the Isimu Cloud. You're talking about potentially at the low 70s or high 60s, right around the spot over here. I do not think it's going to go back to all-time high anytime soon. It doesn't have to for you to make a bunch of money. All it has to do is really just trying to get back here and challenge the Isimu Cloud. Once it gets up there, I think it's going to be pretty challenging for price to get above the Isimu Cloud, but I think it's probably going to end up doing that sometime over the next 12 to 18 months is my best guess, based on price action that is showing right now. Now, in addition to the Isimu Cloud, I also want to show you the Bollinger Band. The Bollinger Band also gives you a lot of information. For example, it gives you the 20 moving period, and this is a monthly chart, so that period right there is going to be a 20-month simple moving average. And you can see that this 20-month simple moving average right now is pointing up. And as price spend more and more months at the upper part of this Bollinger Band, the more bullish it's going to be more likely to be for it to develop a bull trend. The Bollinger Band is kind of a little bit expanding a little bit, telling us that, hey, potentially there could be a price movement here that's going to come up soon, which I guess over the next 12, 18 months is going to potentially continue to expand the Bollinger Band, and because it's on the upper part right here, most likely the bullish, there's going to be some kind of bullish movement going up as the 20-month moving average continues to grow up. And I suspect that the price is going to push up here to the low 60, 70 range again over the next 12 to 18 months or so. You can see that this crawling up over here, this has happened before in ARK's history. About a couple of years after the inception of the ARK Fund, it was really created around October 2014. A couple of years later, you start to see this flattening of the 20-month moving average becoming a little bit more up curling. You can see the Bollinger Band also start to expand a little bit, and price seemed to spend a little bit more time on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. And when that happens, price generally like to stick to the upper Bollinger Band and keep going up for a while. I think we might be at the beginning of stages of something very similar that is maybe starting to kind of curl up. Another area to kind of look at too, you can see that over here around February 2020, the 20-month moving average really started to kind of get a little bit flat, but it starts to up curl here a little bit. I think we might also be very similar stage right around here or right around here. And potentially, because of this Bollinger squeeze and expansion, potentially is going to be precipitating a pretty decent move, most likely to the upside. That's my story. I'm going to stick with it for now. Another indicator, this one I'm not as familiar with, but this one has been something I've been playing around with occasionally. This is the Blackhead L3 Banker Fund Flow Trend Oscillator. Supposedly this tells you what big money is doing, whether or not there's inflow, which is shown by green. A little bit less inflow is going to be like these white candles here, versus outflow, which is going to be these red candles here. A decelerating outflow is going to be, with these blue candles right here. Now, sometimes you get these kind of buy signals here for this indicator. They're highlighted right here and right there, which are pretty decent. Like you have a buy signal right here, although if you bought here, you would have lost money. But over here, there seems to be a pretty good buy signal here that results in some pretty significant increase, positive trend of inflow coming in, just like how it did over here. When price start to go up pretty parabolically, we're starting to get a little bit of an increase in inflow here, but with the divergence of price actually just kind of going sideways. So big money is having inflow where there's a buy signal, but price just kind of going sideways. There's a strong possibility that this is just a bull flag, and that we're just consolidating while big money is having some kind of reaccumulation. They probably was accumulating over here too, but here is probably maybe some kind of reaccumulation. As you can see, there's increased trend for inflow. I think most likely something pretty bullish is going to work out over the next 12, 18 months because it does seem like big money is coming in. Done with the monthly chart, let's look at the weekly. The one thing that I wanted to show you is this. When you look at a weekly and you want to do stage analysis, some people do the 30-week moving average. And a lot of people look at stage analysis. What do you mean by stage analysis? There are usually 4 stages. Stage 1 is accumulation, which is going to be flat line here, with price kind of hugging around it for quite some time, followed by a little bit of a breakout. It has to kind of get above it and kind of back test it, and it has to pass before it keeps on going up. Now, when it goes up, when it starts to kind of curl up like that, that's when you're really talking about stage 2. Stage 2 is markup, and then eventually you get to the point up here where it gets to stage 3, and it is just kind of going sideways here, Eventually, price is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker, and then stage 4 is really the crash. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a pretty classic bubble chart in terms of market analysis. Right now, we're going through a little bit of the same thing here, where price is just kind of hugging a flat 30-week moving average, up and down, up and down, up and down. There's a little bit of a change here because we broke back above, and we just recently back tested a little bit here, and we bounced from this, and price seemed to be wanting to go up from here. So this whole thing right here could be signifying that the stage 1 could be ending soon, and that we might be entering stage 2. And when we enter stage 2 over the next 12 to 18 months, I do think that we're going to hit some of the upper targets right here. I'm just not sure if we're necessarily going to go parabolic just like we did before. But it's very interesting. Now, if you look at the Isimu Cloud on a weekly basis, you also see something very, very similar. Now, some people on X have commented when price just kind of went sideways like this, do they think this is going to be a false breakout? I didn't think so. There are 2 reasons to why I thought that this is actually going to be a real breakout here based on Isimu Cloud analysis. First of all, price went back up here, tested the top of the cloud as resistance, failed to pass through the first time, which is not unexpected because the cloud is pretty thick. It's red. It's going to serve as resistance the first time we're trying to push through. The cloud didn't like that, pushed price back down, pushed price all the way down back below the cloud. Didn't stay below the cloud for very long. Went back above the cloud, had a breakout again starting around October, November 2023. And recently just had a back test of the Isimu Cloud, and right now we're kind of, hanging around here. If you look a little bit closely, you can actually see that most recently it's just flipped the weekly Tenkan from resistance here to support here over the last couple weeks. So on the smaller time frame, on the weekly time frame, to me, weekly time frame is a smaller time frame. I don't really usually look at daily because it's usually a lot less reliable, and I'm just not as comfortable looking at it. I'm more interested in looking at longer time frame trend. It looks like longer time frame trend seems to be doing pretty good. Price is testing Tenkan as support, and it's doing exactly that. And price right now is above the Hoku Cloud. All of these things are very, very bullish development. Last time when we were able to bounce from the Isimu Cloud, eventually break above it, price went pretty crazy afterwards. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen this time, but I do think it's going to go up over the next 12 to 18 months. Now, in addition to looking at the Isimu Cloud, you can also just look at the weekly moving averages overall. I usually like to look at how the 20 weekly moving averages stacking against 50 against 100. You recently just had a few bullish crosses here. You had the 20 and 50 bullish cross really around June. You also had the 50 and 100 cross just recently. Like, all of these are pretty bullish developments. And right now, price is kind of hugging the rising 20-week moving average, kind of going up. Now, the other way to look at the 20-week moving average, you can also stack that together with the 21-week exponential moving average. We call it the bull market support band. The band's going up, and it seems like it's pushing price up along with it. If this bull market support band is positive pointing, most likely it's going to serve as support to push price up even further. And as you can see, if it's negative sloping, it can serve as pretty bad resistance here. Over here is serve as support to kind of push it all the way up. And we've been consolidated around the band over here, just like how we consolidated the band around over here until we finally have a little bit of a positive momentum here to kind of push price up, which I think is basically where we're at right now. Again, moving average wise, 20 stack about 50, stack about 100. 100 is even flattening right now. Eventually, I think 100 is going to end up pointing up as well as price continue to go, basically up to the right. Anyway, I just kind of want to share with you in terms of ARK Fund. ARK Fund is very, very interesting because it has a lot of the stocks that the retailers are very interested in, some of which include Coin, Tesla, Roku, Square, Path, CRISPR, Zoom, Robinhood, Roblox, and Unity Software. I own Coin, I own Tesla, I own Square, I own Hood, and I own Unity. So I have 5 out of the top 10 here. I originally was gonna go through some of the top, ARK Fund stocks, but there's just a little bit too many. I'll see if I can get to it sometime in the weekend. I might talk a little bit more about some of these here to give you a little bit of update. But I just want to get you a quick video to talk about ARK Funds because it does contain a lot of the very, very popular stocks right here. I do think the ARK Funds probably being tracked up by Coin, and Tesla is just significantly lagging, unfortunately. But if I have time, I'll talk a little bit more about each of these individual stocks here. But I just kind of want to share you my thoughts on the ARK Fund. If you're down big, I'm sorry. From here, this is a pretty vicious drop. But I think that we may be turning around the corner here. I cannot guarantee that we're going to go back up to all-time high anytime soon. But I do think that things are turning into a more bullish light here. So we'll see what happens. I'm Cantonese Cat. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Bye.